Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Hazel de Kloe, the Wealth Whisperer. And today, let's talk money. It's such a big subject, I know. And actually, typically, it's a very taboo subject in many countries and cultures. And so perhaps we have to ask ourselves why. Maybe it's time to break the spell or the myth about talking about money, because it is literally one of the most important topics that we can actually talk about. Surely, with it being such a fundamental part of our society and the way that we live, we've got to ask ourselves, right, why don't we talk about it more often in school, in society in general, or even at home with our nearest and dearest? I think I was very fortunate as I was growing up, because I always had an understanding of where my parents were at financially speaking. They used to keep me in the loop. I mean, we had conversations around how they were doing, how the finances were, why they could or couldn't afford to buy something for me or for the house or what have you. And it just gave me perhaps a good grasp on that for them at their time of life in that era, if you like, it was not an easy time, and they weren't abundantly wealthy, and so therefore it gave me a good, healthy relationship with understanding what it took to have money coming in, why it was important to manage where it was going out to, and how they could work with what they had to be able to save and do the things that they did want to do. So I was very fortunate in that I did actually have some grounding in that. And my mum got a friend of hers to help me learn how to budget, so that when I went off to music college when I was 18, I could actually fund myself well and sustain myself through music college years with the grant that I had, with the work that I was doing, with the sort of the budget that I had, in order to be able to fund myself through that experience. So I was one of the lucky ones, I would say. But why as a society have we not been encouraged to talk about money or finance and how to work with it? Why is it not one of the major topics in our education system? It should be. And I think they are starting to introduce a few different ideas. And yes, okay, they've got the idea of, how to, maybe how to work out what's in your bank account, or how to balance a checkbook, or not that you get checkbooks these days, but you know what I mean, kind of, perhaps the very, very basics of the ins and outs of money coming in and money going out, and budgeting, and a little bit of that sort of thing. But I don't think that it goes anywhere near in depth enough for people to have a really good grasp, especially where debt is concerned, especially when, the youth of today, youngsters are being kind of, chucked out into society at the age of 18, and they're being thrown credit cards at, they're getting student loan coming out of their ears, etc., and by all accounts, by the time they are in their early to mid 20s, they can potentially be tens of thousands of pounds in debt. And that is just not a good place to start your life. So this, as far as I'm concerned, really needs to be grabbed by the scruff of the neck and spoken about. It's interesting because I remember sending my son off to school at the age of 4.5, and had his little uniform on and everything. And I don't know, I just got this really deep sense of, oh my goodness me, here he goes off into the sausage machine, ready to be processed through this system and come out as a really good little employee. Right? I mean, I just had this vision, and I don't know what it was, but it was a very powerful kind of feeling about it. And actually, is that all we are? Are we just sent to school to be churned out to be good employees or money makers for the taxman, the government, and everyone else who wants a piece of us? How often are we shown how to make it work for us? And also think about this. When's the last time you actually had a great conversation about money? A really great conversation. about, your thoughts and feelings around it, how much you can earn, what you could possibly do to improve your situation, ideas on how to grow your money situation, grow your wealth, or perhaps even believe that you can create wealth for yourself. It isn't very often that we're able to have this type of conversation. And that is one of the absolutely major reasons that we set up the Freedom Club a couple of years ago, to start to facilitate these types of conversations and link up with, people who were interested in that subject, wanted to improve their life situation, wanted to have an impact on the world around them, their loved ones, their friends, their work colleagues, their whole overall situation. And that is, it is super, super important. So I would massively encourage you to just start having conversations. And if you're already having conversations about money, have better conversations about money. Talk about money with your partner, with your friends, with your family members, and just have to start to inspire each other as to what's possible. You don't have to go into all the details, but it can be really cathartic to do so. I mean, we had a really, it was my husband who had a really good friend, who unfortunately got himself into a really bad pickle, financially speaking. So much so that he felt that he couldn't share it with anybody. He was embarrassed, humiliated. I can only imagine is how he felt. And he actually ended up taking his own life, leaving behind 3 young children and a wife and, wider family and friends. And I just think that is so, so sad that someone could get into such a dark spot, dark place where they can't see how they can get themselves out of that sort of situation. And is that as a result of the fact that we just don't talk about it? And I think perhaps it is. So here I am. I'm not meaning to depress anybody or to turn this conversation into a real downwards thing. It really is so that we can get a more of an upwards spiral on this whole topic and idea of having great conversations about it. So, and that's exactly what we do these days. We talk about all sorts of aspects of wealth creation, money, mindset around it, how to manage it, what to do with it, how to grow it. Oh, the whole shebang. And not just that either. There's a lot of other stuff that we do as well. But yeah, just let's start to actually inspire each other. Because when you think about it, have a really good think about this. How much money do you actually get to keep each and every month or year? How much do you actually get to keep when you think about all the expenses that you have and the tax that you have to pay? We have something called Tax Freedom Day. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you can actually Google this and see when the Tax Freedom Day for each country occurs each year. And I think here in the UK, the Tax Freedom Day is around about the end of May, meaning that for the first 5 months of the year, you are paying your entire salary for 5 months to go towards taxes. I mean, that's just insane, isn't it? Especially when you think, well, where does it actually go? Where's it gone? It's certainly not being spent on any roads or public services, particularly. Not that we can see in the last few years, anyway. So you've just got to make you wonder, well, where on earth is it all going? So when you start thinking about this stuff, you start opening up those conversations. Yeah, it might make you feel a bit angry or a bit depressed or a bit. Well, actually, that could ignite something in you. That could be the launch pad for you to go, no, I've had enough of this, and I want to do things differently. I want to create a life that I want to live, not just so that I have to spend and pay money to organizations and entities and people who leech off us all the time. I want to have my own life, and I want to be able to fund and facilitate that myself. So I think we need to open up this kind of thinking, because otherwise the feeling of lack, the feeling of not knowing how to handle money, and all this type of thing gets handed down the generations, and it can lead to basically sort of poor or lacking or struggling feelings and experiences. So we need to really look at this stuff and just blow it out of the water and understand how we can change our tack, if you like, when it comes to handling money, working with money, etc., etc. So rather, this is more to make you aware of this topic. And as you listen into these episodes, into these shows, you'll become more empowered and enthused by what is possible for you, not just trapped and always feeling like there's never enough, or perhaps not knowing how to escape the rat race. Yeah, this rat race of a life that it can sometimes feel like you're trapped in the hamster wheel. I know that many people that I've spoken to over the years feel this way, and it's time to break free from that. And this is exactly what we're doing here. So when we talk about handling money, working with money versus building wealth, which is also what we're here to help you with, you cannot have one without the other. Without the skill set to be able to think about, work with, and manage your finances, you will not find it easy, or necessarily even be able to think it's possible to build wealth for yourself. And this is exactly why this topic is so important. So let's just start opening up that conversation with those people that we care about, love, and are around. Let's talk about money. Let's get it out in the open, and let's see how we can help, inspire, and educate each other for the better. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow these episodes. If you're enjoying the content, please feel free to share it with your friends and your family. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.